Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to the finale of What If I Was Reborn in One Piece as a fishman and became the king of the great Fishman Empire. Let the tale begin. Chapter 121. Kaido picks up his spiked club and looks at Shanks' ship approaching close by, but as soon as he gets up, a call comes from his transponder snail. Pura 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 puru. Kaido looks at the transponder snail and opens it. What is it? Go forward, Kaido. I will take care of Shanks. Comes a calm voice from the other side. Jaw, says Kaido. Okay, I am going first then, don't take too long. As soon as Kaido says that, he closes the transponder snail and sits down once more. Shanks and his crew, on the other hand, just look up as they see a giant ship that has a giant shark jaw at the front. He immediately frowns at this. Jaw, says Shanks calmly. He knows best that Jaw being here is not good news at all. Don't tell me he... The flying ship lands on the water and Jaw is standing at the front of the ship, looking at Shanks. Shanks! I think that it would be best for you to turn back. Jaw, says Shanks once more. His face no longer has the expression one would usually greet a friend with. Do you know what you are doing? You will pull this world into chaos if you do something stupid. Yes, I know what I am doing, says Jaw calmly, as his hand hovers over the hits of his lightning katana. But what about you? Do you know what you are doing? Challenging me at sea is not what I would call a good idea. I am not afraid of you, Jaw, says Shanks as he frowns while looking at his old friend. If you get in my way, I will destroy you. We will see about that, says Jaw as veins pop in his forehead. A man who lost his arm against a sea king shouldn't speak so highly, Dumba *s. Fwish! A flying slash is sent by Jaw towards Shanks, who doesn't even seem bothered by it as he imbues his arm with armament hockey and punches the flying slash, destroying it. Don't make me fight you, Jaw, says Shanks. Jaw doesn't say anything anymore as he uses Jeppo and jumps on the air going towards Shanks, who pulls out his sword and jumps towards Jaw as they are about to clash midair. But Shanks suddenly stops midair and jumps back as a pillar of water shoots out at where he would have gone. You never did fight fair, Jaw. I always hated that about you, says Shanks with a smile on his face. Jaw smiles back and says, We are pirates, Dumba *s. Fighting like knights isn't our motto exactly. Also, I always hated your backhanded deals with the world government, not killing their men and such, always a coward through and through. If you wanted to be a coward, maybe you shouldn't have become a pirate, you piece of *t. As Jaw says that, he charges towards Shanks as they clash swords. Clang! Jaw maneuvers his other hand and punches at Shanks' side, in which he doesn't have an arm. Less than 100,000 Tau punch. Bomb! It hits Shanks head on and he is thrown back into his boat. Jaw has a smile on his face as he sees this. I told you that fighting me at sea was a dumb idea. As Jaw says that, two giant tsunami waves rise from the sea and are about to engulf Shanks' ship. While at the same time, Whitebeard is fighting against droves of opponents. He has Joza taking vanguard as he uses his Diamond Devil Fruit to make his defenses impenetrable and take on all of the attacks of the enemies. But at this time, Aokiji stands in front of Juzo. You can't go any further now. White Partisan. Boom! A giant ice phoenix is sent from his arm and Joza jumps up at this and turns his whole body into diamond, charging at the giant ice bird. Brilliant punk. Boom! They both crash, and Joza falls down from the sky. Bomb! He lands on the ice roughly, as he is completely frozen, but his body doesn't break as he is completely made of diamond. Aokiji is about to attack again, but Whitebeard appears next to the frozen Jozu with a smile and says, Oi! Oi! Ice brat, don't treat my son like this. I don't like it when someone does that. He touches Jozu and sends a low amount of quake power through Joza's body, breaking the ice and having Joza back in the battle, though he is breathing a little heavily. Sorry, Pops, I got careless there, says Jozu, with a concentrated look on his face as he looks in front of him. No problem, Just be careful from now on," says Whitebeard, as he pulls his fist back and punches towards Akiji. Bam! The air cracks and the shockwave is about to go towards Akiji when Akainu appears and creates a giant magma fist, hitting Whitebeard's shockwave, canceling it. "Oi! Old fart, be careful, you might just destroy this island," says Akainu while looking straight at Whitebeard. "Try and stop me, magma brat," says Whitebeard, as he brings back his weapon, concentrating his power at the tip of the weapon. Fwash! He swings the weapon, but Akainu appears and stops it but stepping on it and generating magma behind him to keep himself in place. Boom! They clash, but Whitebeard has a clear advantage in power, as while Akainu seems to give it his all to hold back the power of the attack. Whitebeard still has a smile on his face. The old man pulls his fist back and is about to attack Akainu once more when suddenly, pew! A laser pierces his hand. Akainu takes this split second to try and attack Whitebeard, his fist extended, and he punches towards the old man's chest. Brilliant punk. Bomb! But Jozu isn't just standing around, as he bashes his body against Akainu, pushing the Admiral away and stopping him from injuring Whitebeard. Marco takes this split second that Kizaru used to attack to kick the Logia on the face, sending him crashing on the wall. "You Whitebeard commanders are really scary," says Kizaru, as he appears in front of Marco again at top speed, seemingly unhurt as he uses his own light speed kick to hit Marco. Bomb! Marco is sent flying away, but he isn't hurt either, as his Phoenix Fruit allows him to regenerate at top speeds. One split second of distraction is all that it took for them to take advantage of each other's weaknesses. Whitebeard looks at the wall that the Marines have raised and punches it with his fruit, but it only causes a dent, causing him to frown at this. "They have built it especially to handle my power, knowing that I won't go all out." "Oh well, that doesn't matter." As Whitebeard says that, he looks at the admirals around him and says, "These guys won't allow us to save Ace no matter what. Vista! Destroy their cannons, any Shichibukai gets if your way, kill them all." He glances at the Shichibukai around and says, "You guys really are acting high and mighty." He looks at Mihawk and narrows his eyes. "We will have to take care of you first. You are simply too troublesome in this field." Mihawk's eyes widen suddenly as he looks at Whitebeard and sees a shockwave being sent towards him. He goes to block it, but suddenly Vista appears and slashes through him in that split second, creating a thin slash along Mihawk's chest. The wound isn't deep at all, but it's still enough for Mihawk to be a split second late as Whitebeard's attack lands on him. Boom! Cough! Mihawk spits out a fistful of blood at that, feeling the internal damage that he has suffered as he is smashed into a wall, creating a giant crack around him. He winces slightly at this. That old man, even at that age he has this much power. Chapter 122. After temporarily putting Mihawk out of commission, the other Shichibukai looked at Whitebeard nervously and decided to not put too much effort into killing the Whitebeard pirates. They don't want the old man to pay attention to them, as he did to Mihawk. So as that happened, Sengoku atop the platform frowned at this. He knew that to win this war with minimal losses, the Shichibukai must give it their all in the attack. "It doesn't matter if those trash pirates die," ponders Sengoku, referring to the Shichibukai. "But the marine losses must be kept at a minimum, so the pacifista must come too." He takes out a transponder snail and says, "Bring in the pacifista." "Yes, sir," comes the voice from the other side. As the battle starts going in Whitebeard's favor, with him and his allies pushing the Marines and the admirals back beyond the wall. "Guerrerara," laughs Whitebeard as he looks at the terrified faces of the Marines. He had walked over Or's body to get here. He wasn't about to let that sacrifice go to waste. Crack! A shockwave is created as Whitebeard punches the air, cracking it. But that is when Marco tries to fly towards Ace. At that split second, Akainu snarks and touches the ground as Akiji creates a giant ice bird, shooting it towards Whitebeard, who crushes it. But suddenly Whitebeard winces and looks below him. One of his feet had fallen into a small pool of lava. The foot was as good as gone now. Akainu looks at the old man and smiles. This is a fight. he used sneak attacks to go through Whitebeard, and taking off one of his feet will weaken the man considerably. Marco too, as he was flying towards Ace, but he was punched by Garp, which threw him back on the battlefield. "No one can go past here as long as I am alive," says Garp, sitting down and looking at the people. "We must end this quickly," says Sengoku, his frown deepening. He knows what can and will happen if they wait too long. Another Yonko entering the battlefield is absolutely dangerous. Ace's execution will be moved forward. As soon as Sengoku says that, a ship is seen flying in the sky. Pow! It falls on the water and a loud yell comes from the ship. "Ace! I am here to save you." Ace's eyes widen at this, his heart filled with terror. He knows best that this isn't a place for his brother. "Luffy! You idiot! Why did you even come here?" "You are the idiot. I came here to save you," says Luffy, raising only one of his arms high. Frankie hadn't had enough time to build him a new mechanical arm. Ace is upset by this, but he can't help it as tears come out of his eyes. He is worried to death about Luffy. But he is so happy too, he can't help it. He hates it that everyone is here risking their lives for him. Sengoku frowns at this. "We will need to end this quickly." He looks as the executioners get ready to execute Ace. Garp sits in the Admiral's empty chairs as tears come out of his eyes, knowing what is going to happen next. He can't help it, he saw Ace grow up like he was his own grandson. Sengoku jumps off the platform and turns into a giant golden Buddha as he sees Whitebeard is anxious at Ace's execution and he might go all out and cause heavy damage to the island, possibly even sink it. Sengoku clashes his shockwave against Whitebeard's. He doesn't have the same overall destructive power as Whitebeard, but he can cancel out the earthquakes. This was something that he had done quite a bit back in the day in Roger's era. But that is when as he is midair a giant blast of air hits him. Kuda burst. Boom! Out of Sunny's, Straw Hat's ship, Lion Mouth, appears and blasts a beam at Sengoku, not hurting him, but still pushing him far away and out of Whitebeard's way. Crack! The shockwave travels to Ace's execution stand and hits it. Boom! It completely decimates it and Ace is hurt by the shockwave too, but that is still better than death as he starts falling down. But strangely, an explosion happened, the force of which pushed Ace far up into the air, and he was caught by Marco. "We got him, Yua. Retreat!" yells Whitebeard out loud. Luffy and his crew look at this strangely. They had come here for a fight, but they didn't get one. "Garp," says Sengoku, looking at his old friend, who had a difficult look on his face, but he still didn't move as Ace escaped. He couldn't bring himself to. This is the worst situation, Ace escaping is unacceptable. He then looks at Whitebeard. "We can't play around anymore. Akainu!" He calls out to the Admiral, the man nods, and immediately the ground around himself and Whitebeard starts turning into magma, the terrain itself starts changing permanently. Whitebeard winces as he sinks up to his knees, not having a platform to stand on. So are some other casualties were taken into account. Pirates and Marines alike started sinking in the manga, though unlike Whitebeard they couldn't survive. Whitebeard though still isn't panicking, he gives his sons a look once and that is enough to motivate him as he pulls back his arm. But as he does so, he can't help but think of what could have happened differently. Whitebeard flashback. Whitebeard is back on his ship with a transponder snail in his hand as he looks at the little thing in front of him. "Whitebeard, what if I told you that I could turn you into your prime? Would you accept?" asks Jaw from the other side. The old man only snorts at this. "Bah! You stupid or something? Even I am not dumb enough to make a deal with you." As Whitebeard says that carelessly, he did actually contemplate the risk and rewards of the offer. But the simple truth is that he knows that Jaw is an amazing father, but to anyone who doesn't concern his family, they are all trash in his eyes. Whitebeard could see that as clear as day. He didn't want to risk it in Jaw doing something like speeding up his age while he was careless. Jaw could easily take over his crew if it was out of commission. That sounds like something he would do, ponders Whitebeard as he closes the transponder snail on Jaw. This was a natural reaction towards Jaw. The man wasn't known as someone who keeps to his word, or trustworthy. Flashback end. Maybe I should have taken his offer. I could have dodged the floor turning into magma. Ponders Whitebeard, seeing that his body truly has not only gotten weaker with age but also less agile. BOM. The air cracked in front of him as he tries to hold back the Marines. Itachi, on the other hand, as he is killing some Whitebeard pirate goons, he looks up and sees Ace being carried on Marco's talons. His eyes narrow at this. No, the war must continue. Contemplates Itachi as his eyes narrow at this. Chapter 123. At the same time as this was happening, in the middle of the sea, Jaw was fighting against Shanks, and so were his crew. This battle will take too long to finish, thinks Jaw as he winces slightly at the large cut on his chest. Shanks wasn't an easy enemy, though he had hurt the red-haired man more than he had hurt him, as Shanks was bleeding from his head and there were several large gashes on his body. He was breathing heavily, but he wasn't in any critical state yet. Shanks had a pointed look as he gazed into Jaw's eyes. In the eyes of his longtime friend, he knows that the world government isn't a good organization, but it kept the peace at least. It kept a sense of balance. It didn't allow any criminal to just waltz in and take over a country. But he didn't explain any of that to Jaw. He knew that his friend is smart enough to know this. He also knows that this has to have been Jaw's goal for a long time. The man has always been ambitious, even as a child. While Shanks relaxed and laughed with the Roger pirates, Jaw spent most of his time training. Jaw suddenly jumps back, confusing Shanks for a split second, at least until he catches on and looks at the sky. His eyes widen as what he sees shocks him to the core. What is that? Questions Shanks out loudly, shocked beyond belief. What he sees is a giant metallic futuristic ship diving towards them. Jaw and his crew on the other hand retreated. Shanks jumped on air to go back to his ship again. He then prepares as he imbues his sword with hockey. Jaw on the other hand has a smirk on his face as he takes a transponder snail given to him by one of his children and he says, "Obliterate them all." As soon as he says that, a giant cannon seemingly reconstructs itself on the ship. Boom! A giant beam of light shoots towards the red-hair pirates. The explosion of impact is so big that it pushes even Jaw and his ship off. Shanks jumps up and immediately tries to cut the beam of light. Sadly for him, that isn't too effective as he is immediately burned just by the heat of the beam. Still, a couple of minutes later, Jaw is absolutely shocked at what he sees. Shanks is dead, but some of the red-haired pirates are still alive. "Damn, that guy is something else," says Jaw, seeing Shanks so something that he would have never been able to do. If Shanks has tried to run away, he would have survived, though with heavy injuries most likely. But the guy went and took the beam head-on, killing himself, but saving a huge amount of his crew members. Did he think that somehow my friendship with him would dissuade me from killing his crew? Jaw POV. I mean sure, except maybe Ben Beckman, the others aren't a threat, but that doesn't matter now. Shot the second island-killing attack, I say on the transponder snail. I don't need to hear the answer as the only answer I need is in front of me. Because like divine judgment, the next attack of my Pluton hit Shanks' crew and obliterated them, leaving no trace behind. No mere Yonko can contend with me now. Though I said that, I know that Pluton can only shoot 3 shots like that in a day. Meaning that I can't spam those attacks, but I needed Shanks out of the picture immediately, the same with his crew. I look at the giant floating ship, and can't help but contemplate that if that cannon was aimed at me, I would undoubtedly not survive. The speed of the attack and the power behind it makes it impossible to be able to defend. Pluton is the equivalent of a nuclear bomb, possibly even stronger as it's able to obliterate an island in one attack. Though sadly, it doesn't have the radiation poisoning attack that a nuclear bomb offers. I will need to start building something like a nuke in the future, just in case something like a Yonko starts rising. I can make an example out of them by obliterating their crew. Time to go to Marineford. I look at my children as I say that. I have everything prepared. Now, I just need to take the actions that I have been planning for decades now. General POV. While Jaw finished that battle, on Marineford, Itachi looked at the flying Marco, holding Ace on his talons. Itachi then uses a combination between Jeppo and Soru. It was a move that is used only by those who have mastered the two techniques, Razor Blade. Fwish! He seemingly cuts through the air, and in the blink of the eyes, he is in front of the flying Marco. Pow! A kick to the face propels the bird back on the ground. Boom! Itachi has a cold look on his face, as two faces appear on each side of his head and one face appears on the back of his head. Also, many new arms appear along his body. Azura mode. This technique didn't allow Itachi to create clones for a numerical advantage. But his personal strength raised proportionally and a sneak attack on him now is almost impossible. Itachi, says Marco as he looks at him. Vice Admiral Itachi, exclaim some of the people in the battle. The Marines smile at this, while some of the pirates wince. Itachi isn't some simple goon, and while he isn't anything close to the admirals, he is dangerous in his own right. He is what someone would call a tricky opponent. Flower sword style, elegant slash, Vista charges at Itachi and tries to attack him head-on. But Itachi doesn't seem worried at all as he disappears from view and reappears behind Vista. What? Is all that Vista can think as he feels blood come out of his torso. I didn't even see him move. Itachi doesn't pay any attention to that. Instead, he looks at the other Whitebeard pirates. You are all going to die here today, pirate scum. Of course, Whitebeard notices this and is about to attack Itachi, but before he can do so, two lasers pierce his arm. Oya oya, says Kizaru in a weird tone. You can't attack our juniors, Whitebeard. How about you pick someone your own size? Whitebeard can only grunt at this. He has lost both legs. He is pretty much immobile now. So he does something unpredictable and punches the ground. Crack! A huge air crack appears, almost touching the ground. Kizaru is curious at what the old man is up to, but suddenly everyone stumbles as they feel the island tilting and about to sink sideways. Ice Age! But that is stopped by Akiji as he turns kilometers upon kilometers around Marineford into ice, stopping the island from overturning due to the weight. Sengoku has a grave look on his face. We must kill Whitebeard first. This old man will get desperate and might try to sink us all with him. Kill Whitebeard. Chapter 124. Sengoku immediately went to fight Whitebeard. There was no warning or anything as a shockwave hit Whitebeard head-on. He couldn't even react as the man who had known him for so long attacked him. The admirals reacted too. The Whitebeard division commanders wanted to act, but they were all stopped, with Itachi being able to hold back Marco. Vista being held back by Kuma and Joza being held back by Doflamingo. The other commanders could easily be held back by a vice admiral. Volcanic eruption. Whitebeard couldn't last long as Akainu's magma fist sank on his stomach, burning the old man's organs. Whitebeard couldn't even react, and as he went to punch Akainu. Ice freeze. He was frozen in place for a split second. Of course, as a tremor man he couldn't be frozen for too long, but that was enough as Akainu pulled back his fist and made another hole in Whitebeard's body. Suddenly hard vibrations were heard and Akainu had to jump back. Pops! Screamed some of the Whitebeard pirates. But their pleas were ignored as the pacifistas started slaughtering them too. This was no longer a battle, it was a slaughter now. As the Marines got a complete advantage. Fire fist. But suddenly out of nowhere, a giant fire fist headed towards the admirals. You bastards! Yells Ace. I will kill you all. Of course, the fire fist wasn't able to hit anyone as Akainu casually created a giant magma fist and sent it towards Ace, not even looking back at him anymore. We will take care of you later, trash. We will have to kill your troublesome old man first. The Straw Hats also were occupied during this, as unlike the others, one pacifista was enough to hold back all of them. They were too outclassed in a battle like this, and it became painfully obvious to all of them that so was the case. Damn it! Yells Luffy as he punches the machine. Naruto frowns at this and says, Stay back guys, this is the perfect opponent for me. Naruto used his sword to quickly run through the pacifista, bisecting the robot with ease, as his zipper fruit ignores the machine's physical defense. But as he does so, he sees 3 other pacifistas surround him. "Go on, guys, I will keep them busy," says Naruto, though he seems like he is being brave by doing this. He isn't. He knows that he wouldn't be able to stop Luffy, no matter what. He also won't be able to stop them from dying. Dead Cat told me of his ability. The more widespread, the less effective it is. I have had some fun with the Straw Hats, but I must ensure my safety at all costs. Naruto started showing his true colors when all things came down to it. He knew that Luffy with one arm wouldn't become anything, much less the Pirate King. From his view, when his father ripped off Luffy's arm, it was a wake-up call. He pretty much told Naruto to stop daydreaming and come back to reality, not give his life to some people that he hasn't even known for half a year. "Sorry, Luffy," ponders Naruto. "But it seems like my dream won't be completed." As Naruto wonders about that, his eyes turn fierce and he decides to go into the safest place for him, which is in the middle of the pacifista. At least this way, even if an attack came towards him, he would have some steel bags to lessen the damage. Though his haki was minimal, as a robot, the pacifista were easy to read. At the same time as this happens, Whitebeard is in a pinch as Sengoku and the others attack him. He doesn't last long as he slips up. As he is about to pinch once more, in a light speed slash, Kizaru cuts off his arm. It had been less than 10 minutes since the battle had started, and the admirals nor Sengoku had any injury on them, but this was the power of numbers. They could kill Whitebeard faster, but none of them wants to be heavily injured, knowing what is most likely going to come next. Cough. Whitebeard spits out a huge amount of dark blood and his eyes go hazy for a split second. "No! I can't die yet," thinks the old man, as he is now missing one arm, has 2 magma holes on his body and countless other small wounds like bullets and sword slashes. But as the old man thinks that, he looks up and sees a magma fist going for his head. Pow! Whitebeard's head is obliterated. He couldn't even resist the attack. Tears come out of his crew's eyes. None of them could believe what happened. The way the Marines ganged up on Whitebeard, the way they fought. But the Marines couldn't care less about something like this. Akainu looks at the Whitebeard pirates charging at him in anger. He just shoots giant magma fists at them, killing all of them easily. Not even the lower-level division commanders could resist his attacks. Akainu then looks at Ace, saw the kid charging at him with an angry look on his face. "Bad idea to charge at me like that, especially with your devil fruit. You just made my job easier," says Akainu casually, as he walks towards Ace as the young man charges at the admiral. Many of the Whitebeard pirates screaming at Ace not to do that. Volcano eruption. A giant fist of magma smashes Ace away. He tries to resist, but his flame fruit doesn't give him an advantage in this fight. "Gah!" screams Ace as he clutches his fist. "What? I was burned? That should be impossible." But he doesn't have too long to think as he sees Akainu charge at him. So Ace gathers all of his flames in a giant, sun-like ball. Flame Emperor. He shoots the ball at Akainu, but the admiral doesn't care, casually dispelling the giant fireball and going towards Ace. "Know your place, trash of the seas," yells Akainu as his fist plunges into Ace's body, plunging right through. "Weaklings like you shouldn't act so high and mighty." As Akainu pulls out his fist, for a split second he lets his guard down and having killed his enemy. That split second cost him. GARP no. All he hears is Sengoku's yell. "Pow!" Huh? Akainu is at first confused at what happened. He looks down, and sees a fist has pierced him. "What?" Cough. He coughs a mouthful of blood. Sengoku's face pales as he sees this. He was in his giant golden Buddha form, so he couldn't stop Garp. As Garp killed Akainu, everyone is shocked. But at that moment, heat blast. Boom! A giant beam of fire pierced through the Marineford building and hitting right in the middle of the plaza, where a lot of Marines were. The giant explosion shocks everyone. Sengoku looks back and his eyes widen. the situation has now gone from bad to worse. "Kaido is here!" yells someone as the figure of a giant serpentine dragon is shown. Chapter 125. Seeing Kaido, the whole top level of the Marines wince, and they look at Akainu's dead body. Garp still has an angry look on his face as he looks at Akainu. That initial attack of his might have been based on emotion and not thought out. But now that he understood what he had done, he still has a calm look on his face. In his eyes, there is no need for anything to change. "Go and die, lizard," says Garp as he jumps up towards Kaido. "Garp, you are too old and weak to kill me now," says Kaido, as he takes a deep breath and breathes out, gliding toward Garp. The old man winces at this as he is thrown on the ground with a little blood coming from his lip. That lightning was nothing to laugh at. Slowly a giant dinosaur appears. The dinosaur has a cigarette in his mouth. That is Queen. Many other ancient Zoan users appear, from mammoths to different types of dinosaurs. Many gifters are amongst them too, as they have some weird animal part to them. Sengoku frowns at this. His troops are tired, Kaido's army is fully refreshed, and as Zoan users, their stamina is still generally better than the Marines. "Where is that old man Whitebeard?" asks Kaido, an angry look being very apparent in his eyes. He looks around and doesn't see Whitebeard's body anywhere. The old man's body has already been melted by Akainu's magma by now. "Guess I will have to force him to come out then," yells Kaido, angry at why Whitebeard is nowhere to be seen. He shoots a breath of fire at the Marines, burning a lot of them. But that isn't all, as everyone starts shooting cannons, bullets, and other long projectiles at Kaido. But contrary to Whitebeard, he isn't affected by these attacks at all. They don't even faze him. "Well, I could kill that admiral that interrupted my fight with Jaw at least," hiccup says Kaido, swaying a little in his dragon form. Clearly being drunk during this occasion. Heat blast. Boom! Another explosion occurs at this. Doflamingo has a nervous look on his face as he sees this. He turns around and starts walking away. "Oi! Doflamingo, where do you think you are going?" asks a random Marine. Doflamingo turns around and the Marines are surprised. He has a nervous look on his face, something that is unusual for someone like him, who always seems to be playing around. "I agreed to fight Whitebeard," says Doflamingo. Kaido is something else in comparison to him. The man walks away, and so do many other Shichibukai. Even Mihawk does so. He has taken injuries that he didn't plan to take during this fight. He is unsure if he can beat Kaido in a one-on-one in his top condition. But now, he is almost certain that he would lose against the man known as the strongest creature on Earth. All of the Shichibukai leave. Sengoku doesn't stop them. He knows that they wouldn't stay. Kaido and his crew are a different deal from Whitebeard's. The beast will sink this island without a second thought. He doesn't care if his crew can't handle something like that. In his eyes, they were simply too weak if they couldn't handle it. Kaido is about to attack again, but this time, Kizaru intervenes by shooting some light lasers at the giant dragon, which its giant body makes him a giant target. But as it shot some lasers, Kizaru has to dodge as Queen, in his giant form, champs at him. Kizaru no longer has a casual look on his face as this happens. Fwash! He appears above Queen in the blink of an eye and uses his light speed to dropkick Queen. Boom! Queen's head bangs on the ground. Kizaru was midair at this time, and that is when King takes the chance to attack. But before he can do so, he himself is attacked by a torrent of ice thrown at him, which he dodges. "Era King, you are truly dangerous," says Kizaru, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Yada no Mirasama." Pew! 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 Countless lasers shoot towards King and the giant Pteranodon dinosaur man. Some lasers pierce through him and he winces. Kizaru doesn't go for a finishing blow, he instead jumps back. Sengoku nods at this. Kizaru isn't going easy anymore. Thinks Sengoku, he knows that Kizaru's fruit has some drawbacks that can't allow him to go all out as it leaves him vulnerable. But the Admiral is serious now, and so is every other Marine. Kaido has come here, meaning that Shanks. The battle continues. being hard-fought from both sides. Kaido takes some injuries from Sengoku and the admirals. But he still doesn't fall down. If Akainu was alive, due to his attack power he would be the perfect opponent against Kaido's giant form. But this is a whole different deal from Whitebeard's. Jack is already heavily injured but no one has stopped to help him. This is why the Beast Pirates are not distracted by anything and don't leave any openings against opponents. Queen has already spread a type of virus amongst the lower ranks of the Marines and he laughs as he sees the carnage. The Beast Pirates do crazy stunts like these, and as Itachi sees this, he swallows in nervousness. He doesn't plan to get involved in this at all. So instead, he creates a clone that he leaves behind, as he uses Soru and goes amidst the pacifista, casually destroying them. Naruto, says Itachi as he sees his brother in perfect shape. He has zipped together the pacifista to create a barrier around himself. Itachi, says Naruto as he looks at his older brother. Nothing more is needed to be said as Itachi covers Naruto in a cloak and puts him on his shoulder like a sack of potatoes and runs away. We will need to go to safety, this is of most importance. Dad will arrive soon, explains Itachi, as he stealthily throws away his marine uniform as he creates countless clones to take his place. This island isn't going to survive today, we are fighting people who are in totally different leagues from us. Itachi knows best just how strong the admirals and the Yonko are, he also knows that he is not at that level yet, so it's best for him to get himself and Naruto out of here. 3 hours later, and it is still a stalemate between the Marines and the pirates, as some of the Whitebeard pirates decided to fight till the end. Amongst them were Marco and Vista, while Joza took the ones who wanted to retreat away. At this time, Kizaru once more goes to attack Kaido, but as he is charging, King interrupts his attack one more, and in that split second, Kizaru felt a huge force hit him in the head. Thunderbagwa. Kaido has turned back to his human form and hit Kizaru on the ground. Kizaru coughs out a huge amount of blood. But Kaido doesn't let go as he smashes his bat into Kizaru's right side of the head, once more. Due to the hits on the head, Kizaru is knocked out cold. Chapter 126. Kaido doesn't go easy though, because when Kizaru is knocked out, bomb! He slams his spiked bat down and smashes Kizaru's head. Bomb! Once more and Kizaru's head splits open like an egg. Akiji, Sengoku, and Garp go to stop this, but they can't arrive in time as Kaido lands one final shattering blow. Bam! Leaving Kizaru's head like a burst watermelon on the ground. Kaido only sighs at this. Weakling. While this was happening, in Mary Geo's, the land where the celestial dragons stay, in a room with a throne at the heart of the world a man was sitting on. 5 elders were bowing to him, the man named him, sitting at the heart of the world. Im-sama, what should we do about this? Questions one of the elders, the one with a mustache. The man in the dark robe only looks at the elders and leans on his arm, a frown appears on his face. Kill them all, says him, its voice something unidentifiable, as if dozens of people speaking at the same time. Unidentifiable if it was a male or a female speaking. But suddenly Im's eyes widen as it senses something strange. But then out of nowhere a nervous look appears on Im's face and he looks up. What? Exclaim Im, even he is shocked by what he is sensing. How is that possible? What is wrong, Im-sama? Exclaims one of the elders, the one with the long white beard. Outside of Mary Geo's, one giant ship appears above the place, and then a dozen more like it appear. Jaw is currently sitting on one of them. A wide smile appears on his face. He has a transponder snail on his hand and he says, "Shoot!" As soon as he says that, tens of Plutons aim their cannons at Mary Geo's. Boom! 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 The beams go straight to the buildings and hit them. The power of the ancient weapon is massive as it obliterates Mary Geo's. Jaw only has a frown on his face and says, "Keep shooting, again." Boom! Once more the Pluton ships shoot, each shot with the power to destroy an island. Jaw smiles as he can see that he made sure to overdo it a little. he knows best that no matter how strong him, the creature wouldn't be able to handle so many weapons shoot at the creature. But Jaw still smiles and takes out another transponder snail. Have Shirahoshi make some sea kings make a wave and flood Mary Geos. It didn't take long for a giant wave that bashes against the red line, causing some shaking and flooding the place. He doesn't want to take any chances of some hidden power or let him transform or anything like that. He isn't confident in beating him in 1v1, but it doesn't matter in his eyes. He doesn't need to be the strongest, he just needs to be the most powerful. Strength will easily come in after that. Welp, time to go to Marineford, says Jaw casually as his observation hockey roams through the wreckage that used to be Mary Geos. The world nobles were all already killed by the attacks, so were the elders, and from what Jaw could tell, so was I'm. In Marineford, by now, a lot of injuries had appeared along Kaido's body. But he easily brushes them off. I have had worse when I fought against Jaw, contemplates Kaido, as Jaw was the person that has come closest to killing him since he has become a Yonko. This is the place of my death. Garp, Sengoku, Akiji, those should have the power to kill me, but I don't plan to make it easy on them. I must go all out for the final chapter of my life. I have surpassed you finally. Odin! The Marine forces were extremely tired as the battle went on. They had just fought a Yonko, and now they are fighting another. The Marines were getting slaughtered. Sengoku knew why too. He planned that even if another Yonko came around with his crew, then they would have Akainu as a heavy damage dealer while they held him back. Easily able to defeat any Yonko that way, a simple but very effective strategy. Now that Akainu was no more, the battle that could easily be solved with just a couple of devastating attacks now has to go on for hours and possibly days. Kaido is a stamina monster. His fights with Jaw has also taught him on how to deal with bleeding wounds. Garp could also cause damage to Kaido by his punches, but as he had aged, the punches didn't have that effect that they used to have. Kido looks at Garp and laughs. Worororo. Garp, back then, when you killed Captain Rocks, you were absolutely terrifying. Nowadays, that doesn't seem to be the case. Kaido says that as he breathes out another heat breath, which is dispelled by one of Garp's punches. Sengoku attacks using his shockwaves which are generated from his palm. But that is all for naught as the Beast Pirate commanders stop them, as each of them is tough and can take hits. The fight continues on between the Marines and the Beast Pirates. Their clash is quite hard as they had lost 2 admirals already, another loss and it would show who the real winner is. Kaido and his crew would have defeated the Marines. Jaw on the other hand still has his ships, as he has reunited with all of his children. He is on one of the Pluton ships and looks at his children. The strongest ones are all gathered around him. Kakashi, Kisame, Ichigo, Nagato, Mikoto, Urza, and many more of them. There were even some transponder snails that connected to his children on the blues. Listen to me, we will need to start taking this over. East, west, south and north, we must take over all of these places, starting now, says Jaw, his children on the blues closing their transponder snails and starting their work. He knows that because the world government has concentrated its efforts on Marineford, then the blues are left a little undermanned. Which is perfect for Jaw, as his excitement reaches new heights at this. Everything is running along smoothly. At least till now, he had time to spend to gather these things. Thankfully he doesn't have that need anymore. He considers himself lucky to have been born 30 years before the timeline even began. I can't use Pluton anymore, every one of the ships only has 1 shot left for the day. I must keep those shots just in case. Ponders Jaw. The Marines were cautious against only 1 Pluton, but I have 10, still though, the resources it takes to build one, it's crazy. He knows that it's now or never. Okay now, he says to his children. Remember, I want the world, but your safety is more important. I do not want a power that is gotten through sacrifice. Only weak people think that they need to sacrifice something to get power. I am not going to sacrifice anything. Chapter 127. As the battle along Marineford, the Marines with the combination of Garp, Sengoku, and Akiji can injure Kaido as injuries keep adding upon him. Marco decided to retreat as Vista was heavily injured. So now with the complete retreat of the Whitebeard pirates, the Marines were able to have a slight advantage against the Beast pirates. This advantage made all the difference as Jack is killed, King is also killed as Akiji freezes him for a split second, and Garp smashes the flying creature to smithereens. The Fling 5 are also in bad shape and Altai is also heavily injured. The Beast pirates are on the losing side, though the Marines are still in bad shape and seemingly heavily injured amongst them. Though the top combatants were still okay and had the energy to fight for days, so they weren't even truly tied. Rorororo. Laughed Kaido, though he is losing and is almost dying, this is the best time in his life. He fights crazily as the feeling of fulfillment makes him feel complete. So this is how it feels being close to death. Is this how you felt, Odin? Yamato, hope that you live a good life. As this was thinking this, he looks at the Marines and says, "Come fight me, you scum." Worororo. Swish. But suddenly he feels something pass through his neck and he seems to slip. Plop. He falls on the ground and sees a muscular body with tattoos just standing there, headless. Oh wait, that is my body, thinks Kaido as he sees Jaw just kick his body to the ground, and the last thing Kaido can think before his life flees from him is, that bastard. And so, 100 Beast Kaido dies, not the death he wanted, but the one he got. There was no legendary death, just a simple decapitation by a sneak attack. Jaw has a cold look in his eyes while looking at Kaido. He then looks at the Marines and says, "Welp, I didn't expect him to kill Akainu and Kizaru. This is better than expected." Expected? Questions Sengoku, his eyes narrowing as he looks at Jaw. What do you mean by that? Jaw is seemingly confused by this. You haven't figured it out yet? This was all orchestrated by me. You bastard. Yells Garp as he goes to punch at Jaw. Pew! But contrary to the old man's expectations, a laser hits his arm, piercing straight through. What? Every Marine is surprised at this. They look towards where the laser came from and they see a spiky-haired young man standing in the air. Jaw smiles and looks at him. Jiraiya, did you manage to learn a little control over that new fruit of yours? Jiraiya nods. Yeah, though I won't be able to fight against admirals yet since I don't have good control over the fruit at this time. Jaw nods at this. Sengoku goes to attack Jiraiya. That fruit would bring shame to the previous Wilder in the hands of a pirate. Jiraiya is absolutely calm at this. Well, it doesn't matter what you think, old man. As he says that, Sengoku feels something strange. He sees that his body is reverting back to his human form. He looks behind him. He sees a man with long spiky black hair and cold dark eyes. Thanks for that, Madara, says Jiraiya. I really need to get used to this fruit when moving. Madara nods at that, not saying anything. He uses the Yami Yami no Mi to create a dark vortex that pulls Sengoku towards him. Akiji goes to attack the kid and stop him from hitting Sengoku. Bzzzt. But in a lightning flash, a man appears in the air behind him and stabs a sword at his stomach. Damn, says Akiji, as he was distracted for a split second and Kakashi took advantage of that. They are all scarily coordinated. They wanted me to panic and dull my observation hockey for a split second before they attack. As siblings, all of Jaw's children grew up together. They can work together with no problem. It's an almost instinctual understanding of each other. The Marines are already on their last legs as Jaw smiles at the Marine soldiers. He had already cut connections with the news from Marineford, so no one is seeing anything. Now, Marines, time for all of you to go down. Jajajajajaja, says Jaw as he laughs out loud. At the same time, inside one of the empty houses inside Marineford, Naruto and Itachi are looking at each other. They both have nervous looks on their faces. What is happening? Asks Naruto. He had always been left in the dark about Jaw's plans, so he doesn't know what is the plan here. We can't interfere in a battle of this caliber anymore. says Itachi, as a chill of fear goes through his body. He can't help it, he is scared as hell about this. Itachi gets up and looks through the house for any food. He wants to ease Naruto's worries with some good food. But as he looks through the kitchen, he sees a strange red fruit with swirls on it. "Naruto!" calls out Itachi softly. "Do you have dead cat inside your inventory space?" "HM? Yeah." "Why?" answers Naruto, still not knowing where Itachi is going with this. "No, nothing, just asking," says Itachi, smiling when he hears that. I guess dead cat's leprechaun fruit really increases one's luck. At the same time, Kobe and Helmeppo were running around the now desolated living area on Marineford. "And no way we can survive this," exclaims Kobe, his face morphed into a look of terror. "This is a battle way out of our league." "Why yeah, we wouldn't be helpful even if we stayed," says Helmeppo, being just as scared as Kobe too. They saw Whitebeard and Kaido, they were monsters, what could they even help with? Even giving it their best wouldn't be enough, as they wouldn't be able to slow them down for even a split second. As they walk around, they see Itachi, who is just walking around without his shirt on. "Vice Admiral Itachi!" exclaims Kobe out loudly. Itachi only turns to look at them and blink. Itachi looks at them and says, "I am only a clone, how is the battle going now?" "Gee good," says Helmeppo, unsure of what to say, but he said that in a split second and didn't think about what he was going to say. "You should go back now," says Itachi simply. Kobe and Helmeppo nod at this, not daring to refute Itachi as they don't want to get killed. After all, they already saw what Akaina did to a running marine before the battle. Itachi is known to be cruel against pirates, so they don't want to try their luck with him. Itachi looks as the kids turn around and start walking away. A frown adorns his face as he sees this. "We must win at all costs today," thinks Itachi. "Every little bit helps." As he thinks that, he uses Soru and appears behind Kobe and Helmeppo, sure gone. Pow! Pow! He uses his finger to pierce both of them in the back of their skulls, killing them before they knew what was even happening. Better not leave such things to chance. Chapter 128. As Kakashi stabs Akiji, he immediately jumps back. As soon as he did so, a wave of ice was shot at where his previous location was. Kakashi knows best how to take Akiji on. He also knows that fighting against an admiral in a straight-on fight isn't a good idea. This battle will have to be a little drawn out, but that doesn't matter at all. We have our own little plan on how to take care of the admirals. Contemplates Kakashi as he moves at top speeds to dodge Akiji's attacks. If Kizaru were alive, he would have been the best opponent against Kakashi, a good counter to the latter's speed. Garp looks at Kakashi and frowns as he sees Akiji having problems against the kid, so he jumps up and is about to punch Kakashi. But before he could do so, a spear made out of water hits Garp and pushes him away. Jaw has a serious look on his face as he says, "Oi! Oi! Garp, you have balls to try and hit my kids in front of me." Garp has a grimace on his face as he looks at Jaw and says, "Shut the hell up, you brat. You will die here. Pirates like you are the ones I hate the most." Jajajaja. Laughs Jaw out loudly, annoying Garp to no end as he sees this. Honestly, Garp, you used to be a terrifying old man. That attack of mine wouldn't have even made you move. But now, it can even hurt you, admitted old man. You have just gotten too old to be able to fight at this level anymore. I can see that you are already breathing heavily and are tired. Garp smiles at this as blood runs down his face. Heh! Don't worry about me, Jaw. I can still beat you up and drag your face through Marineford. Jaw smirks at this, not bothered by the insult of an old man. Your grandson just escaped, the living one with the straw hat. I wonder if I should have my men kill him. How would you feel about that? Garp's face immediately morphs into an enraged one and Jaw's smirk widens at this. Yes. Get angry with me, old man. Become so enraged that your observation hockey becomes dull due to your emotions. Jaw plans to have the old man not be at its best because he knows that even though he is old, Garp used to be at the top levels of the world in strength and even cornered Roger multiple times. Underestimating him would be foolish. Jaw knows that. That is when Urza in the form of a swamp moves towards the battlefield and attacks Garp with a sword from beyond. The sword was almost about to pierce Garp when he turns around and punches the red-haired girl in the face. Pow! The punch was imbued with hockey, so it makes Urza fly away and crash into a wall. Brat, you think I can't see what you were doing? Says Garp as he looks at Jaw with a frown. I have been fighting before your parents were even born. I have had tactics like this used against me hundreds of times. Jaw only shrugs at this. Oh well, you win some and you lose some, but still, as I said before, I don't like people hitting my children. As Jaw says that, he uses Soryu and charges at Garp with his top speed. His leg muscles swell to 3 times their size and the ground under him cracks as he kicks off, creating a crater behind him. Bomb! Jaw hits Garp in the stomach, and the old man spits blood as he feels his organs get hit by a shockwave. He flies off and crashes into a wall too, creating a huge crater. Sengoku takes this time to try and interfere in the fight. But a huge flying ship smashes into him, as Jiraiya shoots some lasers at Sengoku, and Madara also uses his Yami Yami no Mi to cancel out Sengoku's attacks and stopping him from transforming into his giant Buddha form. At the same time as this is all happening, around the Marineford residential area, Kisame was sunning around at top speeds and he has Ariel on his shoulder. She has a golden glow around her as she touches Kisame and says, I am giving you as much luck as I can, but we still haven't found the fruit we were looking for. A couple of minutes later, after checking every house, finally Kisame finds a barrel of fruits with one fruit at the top standing out as unlike the other apples. It is white and it has spirals all over it. Is this it? Wonders Kisame out loud. Yes, I am sure that is it, says Ariel with a happy tone to her voice. She has the luck fruit, so she was sent by Jaw to be with Kisame and find some fruits around Marineford. But while this was happening in Marineford, the world wasn't quiet as an impel down. Magellan was injured, and as he was laying down on BD, one of the guards barges through the doors. The guard's face is full of sweat and a panicked look is apparent on his face. "Yes, sir, we are under attack," exclaims the guard fearfully. "By whom?" questions Magellan, an angry look on his face. After all, Blackbeard and Shiryu had just defeated him. He wasn't exactly in a good mood. "The revolutionaries," exclaims the man in a panic as his body shakes in fear. "How many of them?" asks Magellan. "All of them, sir," answers the man, but as soon as he does so, an invisible wave passes through the prison, and the guard falls on the ground, unconscious. Magellan frowns at this and he clenches his teeth in anger. That man is here, contemplates Magellan out loudly, knowing that there is only one man in the Revolutionary Army whose conqueror's hockey is so heavy. Back at Marineford, Jaw and Garp were clashing against each other. Bomb! Their pinches connect against each other's punch too, and they still come in a stalemate. Jaw frowns a little at this. Garp is not a devil fruit user, so water attacks or a seastone dagger aren't truly good against him. Still, he is unwilling to let his children fight the hero of the Marines by themselves. Kakashi also was fighting against Akiji and things were not going well as some of his siblings came to help him. Escanor and Deidara was the most prominent against him. But Akiji still held back the kids. He has frozen his initial wound by Kakashi shut now, so it didn't affect him while he fought against the kids, and even then he still seemed to have the upper hand as Kakashi was injured and has a cut along his chest. Sengoku on the other hand had also learned of Madara's and Jiraiya's tricks, so he was able to easily handle the two novice devil fruit users. Their inexperience with their fruits made it clear who was stronger in this fight, but Sengoku didn't have it that easy as Nagata was sending giant marine warships and smashing them against the Golden Buddha man. But the other children were also absolutely destroying the rest of the Marines as the Beast Pirate members had all retreated by now. So the Marines were having devastating losses amongst their ranks. Chapter 129. Jaw clashes against Garp and their punch against each other so fast that it seems like they both have multiple arms. Bomb! But in the end, the one who loses in the fistfight is Jaw as he falls down and crashes on the ground, but he immediately gets up and pulls out his sword, letting electricity run through his body, and he moves towards Garp at top speeds in the air. But even as he does that, Garp dodges and smashes the back of his fist in Jaw's face, causing the Fishman's speed to become more of a hindrance as it increases the damage that he takes from the old man. Bomb! He crashes back to the ground and a little blood comes out of his nose, his eyes narrow at this. Tricky! Concludes Jaw. He has been fighting enemies like Big Mom and Kaido, whose big bodies make them big targets against him. Even when he fought Shanks, he was at sea, so he still had an advantage. He can also counter my future image. His fighting experience is terrifying. Jaw had never encountered something like this. An enemy who can fight like this, he can even counter him at his top speed. And this is still an old man. If he was younger, he would be nothing short of terrifying. *K, these old monsters are so troublesome. He then gets up and looks at Garp. He will need to use another strategy on how to deal with the old man. It's different when he would usually fight Kaido and how he should fight the Marines. Jaw uses a combination of Soru and Jeppo, moving midair with incredible speeds, and with his speed enhanced by the lighting running through his body, not even Garp could keep up with his speed. Razor blade. Fwish! Before Garp could react, one of his arms flies in the air. His eyes widen as he feels his body also be hit by a shockwave of Fishman karate. He could feel his organs almost give out as advanced armament hockey rampage through his body. Cough! He coughs out a handful of blood, and feels that his body is about to give in. Unlike Kaido, Garp didn't have any crazy physical body, and his age had weakened him, plus he fought against 2 other Yonko before Jaw attacked. So he isn't surprised as he sees Jaw's sword start to dig into the flesh in his neck. He sees the lightning flashes on the sword and Garp gets an idea. He imbues his fist with hockey, the same fist that he had crushed countless mountains with. Bomb! He hits the metal sword and Jaw's eyes widen in disbelief as he sees the weapon that he has used for years cracks under the power of Garp's fist. This *King old man. Internally screams Jaw in anger as he sees cracks spread through his sword and it is destroyed. He immediately jumps back to dodge one of Garp's kicks. He looked at the leftover handle of his sword with a reminiscent look on his eyes. He had used this sword against so many strong opponents, but Garp was still able to break it under the power of his fist. In the end, though, he can only sigh and throw the weapon away as he looks at Garp, who seems to be having some difficulty breathing as blood spews out of his neck and his stump of an arm. Still, somehow the old man can constrict his muscles and stop the bleeding in his arm and neck. You are a damn monster, old man. Compliments Jaw as a smirk appears on his face. He couldn't help but compliment the old man. He knows that if the old man was in his prime, he wouldn't be able to beat him in a fair and 1v1 fight. Well, I have never fought fairly, so that isn't saying a lot. As Jaw sees that Garp is in no longer a fighting condition to be a threat to him, he slaps the ground. Pow! A shockwave is sent through the ground by Jaw's palm, and by using his future vision he can perfectly calculate as a giant wave rises from the sea and it shoots towards Garp, as he too charges at the old man too as he picks a sword from the ground. Bam! Garp punches the ground causing an earthquake, making Jaw frown. Just give it the hell up, old man. You are already dead, so stop *King around. I will kill your grandson next if you keep this *T up. The old man only smiles at this as he looks at Jaw. Be brat, says Garp with a croaky voice as the injury on his throat doesn't allow him to speak regularly. You, nor any of your blood will be getting out of here alive. I can guarantee this to you at least. Jaw has an angry look on his face as Garp says this. He uses Soru and decapitates the old man before he can say any more, though the elderly man can still get a punch on Jaw before he is killed. His decapitated head has a smile on his face even as it flies off. Jaw's hands shake at this as a chill runs down his spine at Garp's last words. He can sense emotions with his observation hockey, so he knows that Garp was 100% sure of this outcome. His jaw clenches at this, so he takes a deep breath to calm himself down. *T. exclaims Jaw in anger, as a distressing feeling develops in his stomach and a heaviness descends over his heart. I have plans that he has no idea about, I have thought everything out, there is no loophole in my plan. Says Jaw out loudly, trying to convince himself that the decades of effort that he has put on this isn't for nothing. He then looks at his children fighting and sees that Madara is heavily injured by Sengoku, while Akiji on the other hand is heavily injured by Escanor, Kakashi, Ichigo, and Mikoto. But while this was happening, in Impel Down there is a whole different scenario going on as Dragon is wearing his green cloak as he walks out of Impel Down. A blonde-haired young man is next to him. "How is your new devil fruit, Sabo?" asks Dragon. Ivankov also walks next to the man as they walk out of the prison casually. The blonde-haired young man looks at his hand calmly as purple poison is generated from his hand. "I think that I am getting the hang of it. By the time we go to Marineford, I should have perfect control over it." Dragon nods at that and smiles. Sabo is a fast learner, that is for sure. As they finally exit the prison and as they see the light, outside there are only wreckage of marine warships and a couple of 100 ships with revolutionary banners within them are just waiting there. Dragon smiles at this. Hopefully Jaw has tired the Marines and the world government enough for us to take over. East Blue and South Blue are already under our control. Jaw's people who tried to take over those regions have been eliminated. Chapter 130. I look at Sengoku with a frown on my face. I get close to the Buddha man. He seems to notice me. But he can't do anything, as Jiraiya and Nagato don't let him have the leisure to do so. I have 2 swords in my hands and a memory from a long time ago resurfaces again. Back from the time I was in Roger's crew. So, I use Jeppo to accelerate my speed and remember Odin's movements. Water appears behind my swords. Water sword style, double Odin slash. Fwish! 2 large cuts appear on Sengoku's back. I smile at this. I am not as good a swordsman Odin was. But that doesn't mean that I can't incorporate some of his movements. Especially since now, I am stronger than he was physically at his prime. This battle is all but won now. I didn't expect Akainu to die against Garp. I never predicted something like that. Even Kizaru dying against Kaido, while good news, it wasn't a surprise. I knew that one of the admirals might die during the battles before I would arrive. Fwash! Suddenly 2 dragons made out of water appear and crash into Sengoku and trap him in a bubble. Immediately, the fleet admiral is weakened and can't move. That is when Jiraiya shoots lasers at the old man, easily piercing him. But as soon as we do so, I get a vision of the future. A giant mechanical dragon head will appear in the sky and like a laser, it will strike me and my children. But as soon as I get that vision, I pull out the transponder snail and say in it, "Shoot down whatever thing that will appear in the sky in around the next 10 or so seconds." "Okay," comes the voice from the other side. I can't sense anything up there, so I wonder where that thing will come from. Still, though, I look at Jiraiya and tell him, "Kill Sengoku, after that, make sure that you go and help to kill Akiji." He nods at me, instantly understanding that something must be wrong. I have already predicted that the world government might use a secret weapon like this. I would be a fool to not think so. I have preparations against something like this. How effective they are, it depends. I take out another transponder snail and talk into it. Get Uranus ready in case of usage. In 9 seconds, if Pluton doesn't destroy the thing that will appear, you do it. I wince a little as I say that. After all, unlike the others, Uranus can't be used repeatedly, it only has 1 shot, and it can be potentially very destructive. Still, I must take all measures just in case. I don't want to even know what the world government's secret weapon is. I don't want to test it and see if I can handle its shot or something like that. I am not Kaido or Big Mom who could possibly survive an attack like that. I look at Akiji, and he seems to be doing good for someone who is surrounded and entrapped. I charge the man, and he sees me charging at him. General POV. Era, this is quite troublesome," says Akiji, seeing Jaw charge at him. "This isn't good at all." Sigh in the end he just sighs and gives into the situation. Ice time. Suddenly all around him, his body explodes into ice dust. It confuses everyone, even Jaw. Fwash! Immediately Jaw gets a vision of the future, so his eyes widen and he yells out loud. Escaner, be careful! But it is too late as Escaner's body is frozen in a split second and he crashes into the ground. Jaw's eyes are filled with sadness at this. The attack had happened too fast for anyone to do anything, and even he was getting his new future vision. Though he was prepared for this to happen, it's different as he can feel his observation hockey get disoriented and he loses sight of the future. The top marine forces were gone, but Jaw has an empty look in his eyes as he gazes at Escaner's icy remains. His heart feels hollow at this. He clenches his teeth in anger at this. He can't help it. He has seen Escaner grow for 18 years, he of course had an attachment to his kid. Still, he felt a little troubled. He knew that he shouldn't be angry at this. He knows that it is dumb and wrong to be angry in a situation like this as it will dull his observation hockey. He temporarily can't see into the future. His mind was telling him to be calm, but his heart was telling him to be angry. Jaw has always been a logical man. But this is something that he couldn't understand completely. Family dying. I need to calm down. Thanks, Jaw. I can make another child. I have hundreds of them. Escaner was just one in hundreds. Like hell he was. Damn it! Still, even with this turmoil inside of him, Jaw has a calm look on the outside. Boom! He is pulled out of his thoughts by a huge explosion in the sky. He looks up and sees the clouds part as Pluton shoots the strange dragon-like weapon in the sky. As he looks at the explosion, that is when Jaw finally gets his feelings under control. I can grieve later. Right now there are more important things to take care of. As he contemplates that, he takes a deep breath and punches the ground, the shockwave traveling to the ocean and rising high waves. Something that would easily be stopped by someone like Akiji if he was alive. But now that all the marine top combatants are out of the equation, Jaw's children, who are devil fruit users, use Jeppo to kick off the air and fly so they aren't affected by the water too. Marineford is washed away with water, killing thousands of Marines, and the rest were picked off by the Fishman soldiers. Still, the island is not sunk. Jaw doesn't have that kind of personal power. Even if he did, he wouldn't sink it. There are some things on this island that he still needs. 1 hour passes and it's just the Marines getting slaughtered. Jaw's mind doesn't wander at all as he looks at the carnage going on in front of him. But at this moment, while he was distracted, his observation hockey, a tool which has saved him many times, wasn't at its best, because as he wasn't into a fighting mindset, his mind wandered toward Escaner. Countless images of his son appeared on his head. He almost couldn't bring himself up anymore. As tears roll down his eyes, he can't help but contemplate. Damn, if only I was more careful and planned things more thoroughly. But while he was doing that, quite a distance away, Dragon had a pair of binoculars in his hand. Jaw, he seems to be saddened at something. Also, he surprisingly took care of all the Marines. He truly is even stronger than I thought. Still, he can't be allowed to rule the world. He isn't any better than the world government either. As he says that, the air in front of him almost materializes. Boom! A vacuum of the space in front of him shoots towards the distracted Jaw. He looks at Sabo and says, "Douse him in poison as soon as he will stagger due to my attack." Sabo nods at this and shoots a ball of poison that moves at extreme speeds too. "Ivankov, inject me with strength hormones," says Dragon casually. Ivankov looks at the man he has decided to follow with a gaze of admiration. Dragon knows that this will take decades of his lifespan, and he still made that decision casually. It reaffirmed to Ivankov that he was the man worth following after all. Chapter 131. At this time Itachi looked at his father, while Escaner's death had hit everyone hard. Jaw was hit the worst. It is true that he made children to build his own army, but he also spent countless times with all of them to build a connection there, and Escaner, as one of his first children, he spent a lot of time with him. Of course, he grew up to love his son, even though he couldn't say that he could watch his son die and have no feelings about it. Fwash! Itachi sensed something strange in the air. He looked at narrows his eyes as he caught something strange. An almost invisible ripple of wind in the air was heading for his father. It seemed harmless and no negative intention was on it. Still, Itachi's eyes widened at this. He couldn't help it. Why would his mind automatically assume that it was not a threat? He would never usually think something like this. The attack has no will, nor power behind it, creating a weird phenomenon, since it clearly does so. Someone is tricking father's sense, concludes Itachi, as he is about to warn his father, but that would be too late. His body moved before he could even fully understand what was going on. He got in front of the attack. He doesn't know how dangerous this thing is, but just in case. This all happened in a split second, so the creation of clones wasn't an option either. Pow! Itachi's eyes widen as he looks down and sees a shot in his stomach that goes right through him. He has used Haki and Tekkai where the shot would hit, but it still pierced him without a problem. Jaw turns around and looks at Itachi as he senses his willpower drop and disappears dramatically. What he sees disarrays him once more, Itachi's body just falling from the sky. The shock of this once again, putting his mind in shock and despair. In that split second, Jaw lost all semblance of observation Haki due to his chaotic state of mind. Bomb! At the same time, he feels a shockingly powerful hit to his stomach. Cough, he spits out a mouthful of blood as he feels the hit to his midsection. He immediately used armament Haki and Tekkai to defend himself, and unlike Itachi, he easily resisted the attack. His physical strength is leagues above Itachi's. Jaw has an angry look on his face, even as he crashes into the Marineford HQ building. Boom! But as soon as he crashes, half of the building tilts as Jaw comes out of it, holding up the building with one hand. He pushes the building down. Bomb! Causing widespread destruction on the ground. Jaw's eyes had turned red and a red miasma-like aura came out of him. It is his Conqueror's Haki. It is so dense that it affects the environment around him, causing huge cracks around the floor and knocking out any enemy within his vicinity. His eyes concentrate far away into a ship sailing towards Marineford. Seeing the muscular figure on board the ship, it is a guy with his green hood pulled down. Dragon. Say Jaw, in almost a growl-like voice. You know what you have done, you took a son of mine. I will be taking yours. Monkey D. Luffy. Dragon's eyes widened at this. He hadn't expected Jaw to know of his son. Still, in the end, he calms down, knowing that he doesn't plan to let Jaw live to see tomorrow. Oh, I have already killed multiple of your sons already. Some who were trying to conquer the blues too, says Dragon simply. He can see that Jaw is enraged at the mention of his dead children. So he decided to use it against him. After all, without his future sight observation Haki, Jaw will be much easier to handle. But contrary to Dragon's expectations, when he says that to Jaw, the latter calms down, reining in his Conqueror's Haki and slashing at the purple ball of poison that would have hit him in 3 seconds. I see, says Jaw calmly, seemingly not panicked or angry at all. Only a cold, calculated mask on his face. Then I will just have to kill you, and that will be it. You know that your son will die with you also. And since it has come to this, Jaw pirates, kill the revolutionaries. He didn't need to say that, as all of Jaw's children have a murderous look in their eyes as they stare at Dragon. Madara, Nagato, take care of Sabo. I will destroy the others. Loudly says Jaw. His children nod at that, as the revolutionary ships start to get closer to Marineford. Boom! The revolutionary ships explode, all of them. Their ships were all made to be extremely tough, especially their lower parts, just because of underwater attacks. But no matter what, they still couldn't prepare enough, as countless revolutionary ships get sunk with explosions which are caused by Jinbe, who is underwater and attacking the ships. Dragon still has a hard look on his face and has his ships charged towards Marineford. He doesn't look at his men anymore. He knows of the sacrifices that must be made to have this world free from the world government and people like Jaw. Fwish! Dragon jumps off the ship, coats his arm in Haki, and goes towards Jaw. the latter of whom just looks at the man and takes a deep breath. Bomb! They clash with their fists, releasing their conqueror's hockey too. Jaw has a sword on his other hand and slashes at Dragon, who punches the sword. Crack! Breaking the sword easily, and a hockey shockwave travels through Jaw's body and he winces slightly. He has been fighting Garp, Sengoku, Shanks, and many others before this, so he has some injuries on him and is not at his 100%. Due to that and Dragon taking some strength hormones, Jaw is overpowered and Dragon gets first blood. Bomb! But that changes as a dagger is stabbed into Dragon's stomach, and the man immediately feels weakness come over his body. He looks down and sees a dagger stabbed into him. Seastone, Dragon coughs blood as he says that. Jaw was too fast on the draw, he couldn't even dodge. The Fishman has a cold look in his eyes as he says, "Yep, I knew it. You are a devil fruit user." Dragon goes to drag Jaw's hand away and take out the dagger. But he can't even move the hand. This is what 100% concentrated Seastone feels like. You could be goddamn Big Mom and you wouldn't be able to move with this in your belly, says Jaw, having experience with the experiment. Dragon winces at this slightly, but in the end, he smiles. Well, I never needed to defeat you anyway. Cough. Dragon grips Jaw's arm instead of pushing it away. At that split second, he takes a small bottle with red liquid in it. Jaw's eyes widen at the future that he sees. He tried to jump back, but Dragon held onto his wrist, and even with the Seastone dagger in him, he pushed his body and went to smash the bottle of red liquid in Jaw's face, but Jaw's palm blocked the hit and broke the bottle into it. Jaw winces at this, and some liquid spills into Dragon too, but the man laughs. Hee, the least I can do is take you with me. Jaw looks at his hand as it starts turning red and says, "Ah, I see. Magellan's poison. Yep, you are dead already," says Dragon as he himself starts wobbling and he falls off the sky and into the ground. Jaw has a nervous look in his eyes as he sees the poison spreading through him. Chapter 132. Jaw looks at the poison as it starts spreading up his arm. This is no joke. Magellan's normal poison is difficult enough to build an antidote for. This red demon poison has no antidote. It just shuts down the body, burning it and destroying every cell. You can have an arm of mine, I tell Dragon as I pull the Seastone knife up to my shoulder and cut off my arm completely. Fwish! The arm starts falling down and I look at the thing with an emotionless look on my face. There is no need to cry over spilled milk, now my fighting power just dropped drastically from cutting my arm off. But does it even matter anymore? There are bound to be some devil fruits out there which can regrow my arm. Even if there aren't, I will just get a mechanical arm, or get myself a clone arm by using Germa's technology or something like that. I use Semi-Kicken to control my body to stop my bleeding and tying up the wound. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I get my mind off it as I look at Sabo. He looks at me with an angry look on his face. I get a vision of the future of me attacking him and he is using Magellan's devil fruit, so now I know not to get close to him at least. Well, that is troublesome. Not for me though, as I see some fishmen go to sink the ship, but Sabo throws some poison in the water, killing a bunch of fishman goons. I see that Sabo look at me with an angry look on his face, and he turns his ships around. He is quite rational for someone whose boss died. But he is being smart. He knows that he has no chance against me any longer, and only now does he have the chance to escape me. As I see the ships turn around, I don't react or say anything. I am not going after the ships, don't want to test my poison resistance again. Only a fool would try the same thing and expect different results. Risking my life, or my children's lives anymore isn't worth it. I know that letting him go now isn't a good idea, but neither is chasing the man. We are all tired, me and my children. We have to rest first and go take over all the blues, as it seems like a couple of them failed to get taken over. Now that the world government is gone, the Shichibukai are next. 3 days later and I look at my new, temporary mechanical arm. I gaze down onto the man sitting on a boat all alone. The greatest swordsman just looks at me with a calm look in his eyes. Jaw, you here to kill me? Yeah. I answer him calmly, with no emotion in my voice. I don't hate the man, it's just simple business and taking care of some loose ends. He only sighs at this and spreads his arms wide, offering no resistance as he says, "Get on with it then, I wouldn't want to die to some trickery. Better get it over with quickly." "Why?" I ask him curiously. I never understood why people in this world considered their lives so worthless, giving it away for dumb things like honor and such. "Heh!" Hawkeye smiles, and his eyes consist as he gazes at mine. "Jaw, you would never understand." "I see." I sat to him simply as I walked past him and put the sword back in its sheath. Bang! He falls on the boat, blood coming out of his new stab wound in the forehead. Well, that is easier than I thought. I say out loud, Hawkeye gave himself up. I never thought that a man of his caliber would do such a thing, but I guess unexpected things do happen all the time. Daffy looks at the ships with jaw flags sailing towards Dressrosa and his face cringes nervously. Damn that jaw, he really went back on his word. On Wano the same scene was happening also, as countless beast pirates are killed by Jaw's children. Kakashi looks at the place and announces that Kaido has been killed. His father Jaw is now the shogun. The place now settled back to what it used to be as people were fed enough food and weren't starving anymore. Germa 66 was also conjoined with the Jaw pirates as the captain took Vinsmoke Reiju as his wife. North Blue was given to judge, completing his dream. Sadly he later had an accident and died together with all his sons. Jaw is currently in his throne room looking at a map of the world in front of him. East Blue was mostly subdued as the last of the revolutionaries led by Sabo were hiding in there. West Blue had all its mafia bases wiped off, but they still have a heavy remnant of the marine forces centered in there, and Jaw isn't sending any of his strong children to deal with it, letting the war draw out between the Marines and the countries who have now surrendered to Jaw. He wants to build up a little more hatred between the both sides before the war would be over. South Blue wasn't good either as a remnant of the Shichibukai, more specifically Moria, Kuma, Crocodile who was free from prison. Vegapunk was with them too, unwilling to work with Jaw at all. North Blue is completely under Jaw's control by now, there is no revolt or anything else. The story going around was simple, Jaw saved them all from the world noble's wrath who wanted to own the world. He also saved them from the villainous Vinsmoke Judge. That is what everyone will learn for centuries to come. The first half of the Grand Line wasn't under Jaw's absolute control either as Jinbe had broken off from Jaw and formed his own resistance against him. The New World also had some problems as the remnant crews of the other Yonko who are all dead now, with only Jaw being a living Yonko. Still, the crews banded together against Jaw as they knew the truth of what he did. They weren't strong resistances, even if they all gathered together they wouldn't be any big threat to Jaw and his children. But that is also another problem, they were all hiding from Jaw. None of them ever met him in an even field, and none of them stayed on one island for too long or anything like that. Jaw has a calm look on his face even with the events going on around the world. He is considered the whole new authority in the world, with the police force being his own Marines around the world to keep the peace. His future knowledge is pretty much useless to him now, he doesn't know how people are going to react now with 100% certainty. Still, that said, he still knows enough about his enemies and how they might react, and how far they will go. But now he isn't 99% sure that they would do something. He is now only around 40% to 50% right in his predictions. Still, Jaw smirks at this and turns on the transponder snail, getting ready to say something big that would shock the world once again. Chapter 133. Jaw looks at the map and can't help it as he contemplates. The red line and the calm belts are what is keeping me from having access to all the blues in an easy way. Even as a fishman, his men can't easily cross the red line or the calm belts, and that was the thing stopping Jaw from being as maneuverable as he wants to be. They have to be desperate now. Unlike the world government, I will hunt pirates like the animals they are, I won't let any of them grow. I will also hunt their families too, so while they can sail the seas and hide from me, their families can't. Thinks Jaw out loudly. He is calm in this situation because while it is a little sticky, the situation overall isn't all that bad. He has already killed Big News Morgan, so most of the world is in the dark about what really happened at Marineford. Jaw had everything that he could think about covered. There wasn't much that he could do about the revolutionaries. Jinbi, on the other hand, betraying him and forming a resistance force against him was unexpected. The man was too mature and a good actor that he never even sensed Jinbi have even one feeling of rebellion. Fu *K, plots and backstabbers everywhere. First I need to kill the Straw Hats, all of them. Because while they are nothing currently, Luffy and Zoro had to have the potential to become strong. After all, they are the so-called main characters. They need to die, no matter what. Contemplates Jaw, his eyes narrowing, and he clenches his teeth. In his plan, by now the world would be under control. But not everyone is behind him on the matter. He regrets sometimes for not killing the Starwats as soon as he saw them. Thankfully I have my children that I trust. Ponders Jaw, suddenly he has an epitome and smiles. Maybe my canon knowledge is still useful. A couple of days later and I look at the island in front of me. Goa Kingdom, a smile descends on my face as I have had Sasuke investigate and go undercover. He found revolutionary activity going on around here. As expected, Sabo went back to his hometown. His background is supposed to be unknown, so no one would guess such a place like this. But from the manga, I know more about him than he knows about himself. A couple of days later, in an unknown part of the Grand Line. Aboard the Sunny, the Straw Hats were messing around. Though they felt that something was missing from the crew, Naruto and Dead Cat, they still continued their usual shenanigans. Though this time, they had to keep their head down till the world quiets down. The actions that Jaw has done have shocked everyone, especially the Straw Hats. The despair that they felt at Marineford has taught something that they haven't felt in a long time: fear, uncertainty, and many other emotions, as Jaw's power continues rising. The New World is his most under the watch territory. Even Doflamingo has been killed now, so no secret weapon supplier anymore. Suddenly, a news coup flies above them and Nami buys the paper. As she opens it, her eyes widen marginally. In the front page there is a picture of Sabo's and Ivankov's dead bodies and reports of their deaths, and that they were hiding in Goa Kingdom, which has now been dismantled into a democratic country. East Blue has also been liberated from the terrorists of the Revolutionary Army. Nami wants to hide the newspaper from Luffy, who just recently lost one of his brothers, but now losing another would be devastating to anyone. In the end, with tears falling down from her eyes, she looks at Luffy, who gazes back at her with his clueless look. "What is wrong, Nami?" asks Luffy curiously. Nami approaches him and shows him the paper. As he looks at it, his eyes widen in terror. Boom! Right at this moment, the boat was hit by a heavy force that overturned it. The whole crew was distracted, so their reaction was too slow to stop the attack. Kisame is the first to come out of the water, his hand coated in hockey. Fwish! Zoro was the first one to get killed as he fell underwater. His heart is punched out of his body. Kisame just turns around and looks at the other Straw Hats. This is the end for them. Sanji tries to do something, but Kayam is faster as he goes to Luffy, immediately decapitating the weakened rubber man. Fwash! None of them could react as they were surrounded by fishmen and half-fishmen. Their eyes were screaming murder. "Your captain's father took the life of one of my siblings," says Kisame calmly. There is no need to tell them anymore as they are all killed. And so within minutes all of the Straw Hats are killed and Brook dies once more as his bones are pulverized, and just in case they are put in a box to later be thrown into a volcano. In an empty and dark pub in Sabaody Archipelago, Rayleigh is drinking when he hears the door behind him creak. He doesn't even need to look back to know who it is. "Jaw? What do you want?" There is Jaw, with his mechanical arm holding a sword. "I am sorry, Rayleigh. Apologize to Captain Roger for me in the afterlife," says Jaw calmly. He looks at the old man who has taught him hockey and he will now use it against. Rayleigh clutches the glass and is breaking it, the alcohol dripping down his hand. "I regret teaching you hockey. I regret us ever picking you." "I see," is all that Jaw says, accepting the harsh words. "Well, I am thankful to you nonetheless." Rayleigh clenches his teeth as veins pop on his forehead, but in the end, he smiles and sighs in resignation. He knows that he can escape Jaw even in his old age, as he is right now, the mechanical arm not helping the ex-Yonko at all. But Rayleigh knows this is it, he can't sense anyone around, meaning that Jaw has come alone. Still, there is nowhere in the world to run away. What about Crocus and the other? Asks Rayleigh as he gets up and takes a large gulp of the alcohol bottle laying on the table. Jaw doesn't answer at all, making Rayleigh sigh and not say anything else. His ex-student waits for the old man to finish the bottle. Rayleigh sighs and gets out his sword and lays it on the counter. He looks at Jaw and can see the calm look on the Fishman's face. Did you really enjoy your time on the Oro Jackson? Or was that a lie too? Asks Rayleigh with a calm look on his face. Jaw smiles fondly as he reminisces about the times. Yes, it was one of the best moments in my life. Any last words? Rayleigh seems to think and looks at Jaw. I wouldn't do that if I was you. Says Jaw suddenly, confusing even Rayleigh. 13 seconds from now you would have grabbed your sword and slashed at my eyes trying to blind me. Odin and Roger would hate you for what you have done. Says Rayleigh with a casual posture. I know. Says Jaw as he slashes at Rayleigh. Clang! Chapter 134. Jaw looks at Rayleigh. The old man has picked up his sword and clashes with him. I changed my mind. I want to fight now. Says Rayleigh, a smile making its way on his face. Meeting Roger in the afterlife having given up, he definitely won't let it go for a while. At this, Jaw just looks coldly at the old man. I see, then I will respect your last wish and kill you during battle. Thanks for that. Says Rayleigh, and as he is clashing swords with Jaw he clocks back his fist and punches forward. Jaw uses his mechanical arm, imbuing it with hockey, and clashes with Rayleigh. Boom! Everything around them explodes and the bar is wiped out as Rayleigh laughs. Ha ha ha. Jaw, your armament is quite good. Must have had an amazing teacher. Jaw only smirks at this slightly. I had a bad teacher. So this is all me. You really are annoying. Says Rayleigh, and even while insulting Jaw he has a smirk on. Clang! 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 In seconds they clash multiple times, Jaw having slight difficulty due to his clunkier mechanical arm. You are surprisingly slow. Says Rayleigh with a curious look on his face. He sees a weak point appear in Jaw's midsection and goes for the hit. Fwish! But Rayleigh's eyes widen as he jumps back, feeling a large cut appear on his chest. He looks at Jaw with a surprised look on his face. I didn't see the attack. Contemplates Rayleigh. There was no indication that he would attack from there. The old man's mind is getting jogged a little as countless battles play out in his mind. He goes to attack Jaw once more, but he immediately jumps back. Burst! Blood comes out of his midsection like a fountain. He winces at that slightly. How? Even in his long years, he had never experienced something like this. When I lost my arm during the Marineford War, I knew that no mechanical arm in the world was going to cut it for me. I also know just how far I could go, even as a fishman. My power was kinda disappointing. Says Jaw, with a contemplative look on his face as he looks at the mechanical arm. Yeah, and as space exploration will go on, is it worth it to have all of this? Honestly, I tried having my daughter with the return fruit to turn me physically back 12 years ago, but even then I didn't get my arm back. He had tried many ways to get his arm back, one made out of blood and flesh, because a mechanical one can only be so strong, and channeling hockey through that arm feels foreign to him. I was so tempted to eat the tremor fruit. Contemplates Jaw as he looks at the old man in front of him bleeding to death. He decides that allowing him to suffer would be useless now. So he swings his sword, and Rayleigh's head flies right off. Jaw POV. I look at my old mentor's head just looking at me with its dead eyes. Sigh, I regret it. I regret so many things since I came to this world. Now, what do I do? Just quench any rebellion that will inevitably raise up along the times. I sometimes wish I was reborn as a human, that way I could have at least had my own adventure. I might have found someone I could fall in love with and after that had some children and died peacefully. My knowledge is my curse in prison. I wish I could start from zero once more. Then I could do things right. What is world dominance even worth now? Spending eternity just sitting in a chair sounds like torture, or maybe I will one day die in space. Sigh, I don't even know how I came here. What type of being brought me here? Why did it bring me here? Entertainment? Or benefits? Honestly, I have no longer anything to chase after. I feel so empty. Is this what it feels when you accomplish your dream? Suddenly, as I start walking towards the door, I feel slightly dizzy. What? What is this? I can feel a memory appear in my head. What I ask this? Fum. General POV. The next time Jaw opens his eyes, he is in a totally different place. His body is transparent and he sees a man with dark hair and dark coal-like eyes. What is going on here? Wonders Jaw, unsure of what is going on. Suddenly the man closes his eyes and seems to be concentrating. Fwish! A small blue dot appears on the man's hand. Suddenly the dark-eyed man looks at Jaw, and that is when Jaw's body shook. What is this? Wonders Jaw as his whole ghost-like body shakes uncontrollably. The man's dark eyes stare at him. So you can see me then? Asks the man. No need to answer, this is just a pre-recorded memory. I deleted your original one when you were reborn. The blue light on the tip of his fingers expands and the body of a human appears. He has dark hair, brown eyes that seem to be tired, but that in itself exuded a charming look. Jaw's eyes widen at that, immediately knowing who that person is. Where am I? Wonders the young man. His eyes were not at all surprised, but his voice gave away the panic inside him. Welcome to the Citadel, my name is Yami, says the dark-eyed man, now identified as Yami. I am an alternate version of you. Yami smiles as he says that. The other person smiles back too. Hey there, my name is Noah. Yami has a curious look on his face at that. Noah, you are a good actor. Noah's eyes widen at that. Yami on the other hand has his usual smile. Anyway, you don't have a lot of time. So I am just reincarnating you for entertainment. Try to reach this place from the One Piece world. Noah's eyes narrow at this. He is no fool to trust the man in front of him. What are you? He asks once more. Yami's smile widens as he hears the question. Why, a simple human, of course. Nothing too special for old me. You want to reincarnate me? What is the catch? Asks Noah, his face completely serious now as he gazes at Yami. Nothing, no strings attached. Says Yami, that smile still on his face. Though Noah didn't see the problem, Jaw could see that the malicious aura this man had was absolutely terrifying. Comparing him and the people that he has fought till now is a joke. It's a whole different level. It feels as if no plan would work against the man in front of him. I am not a fool, there are obviously strings attached. Says Noah. If you want to kill me, then be done with it. If you want to reincarnate me, then at least tell me the truth. Yami has a confused look on his face. You are not afraid of death? No. Answers Noah casually. Being afraid right now is useless. I see. Hums Yami, the smile on his face is gone as a concentrated look appears on his face. Veins pop around his eyes as he looks at Noah. You are scary, your control over your feelings is good too. Honestly, I would consider you a better specimen than Jax. Jax? Noah is confused by this name, but in the end, he sighs. Anyway, I see that you are not going to tell me anything. Can I at least have some proof of your power? As soon as Noah asks that. Boom! Even Jaw, who was looking intently, didn't sense anything as to where the attack came from as suddenly half of the medieval city disappears. Oi! Yami, what is your problem? Says a voice in annoyance, floating midair. The man was wearing glasses and had slick back hair. As his eyes land on Noah, he smiles and excitedly asks, "Oh hey there kid, want a system?" Noah frowns at that and narrows his eyes at the new man who appeared. Jaw was confused too, as this man felt a whole different from Yami. Unlike Yami, who felt like an absolute power, the man wearing the glasses feels like he is getting stronger every second. Who are these people? Wonders Jaw, never having felt something like this. The Yonko feel kinda weak now in front of them. While Jaw is thinking that, his ethereal body shakes. A feeling of uncertainty that he hasn't felt in a long time appears in his heart. Chapter 135. I could feel it, the dangerous feeling coming from their bodies. Not even for a second do I think that they have my best interests in their eyes. I look at the seemingly normal person in front of those two monsters. I know who that is me from my past life. Noah, age 19, died in an accident. Because now that I see this, it seems like the furthest thing away from an accident. This seems more like malicious intent to me now. Yami and this Jax, they are up to something. They say that they are alternate versions of me. But is that even true? I only have Yami's word for it, and he doesn't seem like a trustworthy guy, even if my whole being says that I should trust him. He seems friendly and I can't see anything that says differently, but I know better than to trust someone like him, even if he is an alternate version of me. No, actually, if he was an alternate version of me, I would trust him even less. Because I know that I would never do something stupid like reincarnating versions of myself without a reason. This Yami, he seems powerful, but not almighty yet. He doesn't come to my world. I can safely predict that he knew something like this would happen to me, so he sealed this memory. But I still can't understand what he is up to. I see Jax and Yami discussing things causally. "No, I don't need a system," says the previous me. Good, at least this way I don't have something that obviously wouldn't have my best interests in mind. Only a fool would assume that a system is there to help them. Oi! Oi! Come on now guys, don't fight, says another voice. He comes forward. He has white long hair with silver eyes. Jax turns around. His glasses reflect the light so his eyes can't be seen. Still, he has an angry look on his face and a strange aura raises around him. "Shut up you Hirofu *K, says Jax. Immediately I see Yami casually push me through a wormhole. "Era Jax, aren't you a little antsy today? Annoyed that he didn't take you on your offer? He didn't accept one of your *TTY systems?" is the last thing I hear before my vision cuts off. Immediately I open my eyes and look at my body. I see that I'm back in the real world. I look around and see that not even a second seemed to have passed. Before I passed out, my body started falling down and still hasn't even touched the ground. That memory, was it fabricated maybe? I have no idea, but those three guys, they are all dangerous. I could feel the schemes they had against each other, but I couldn't see what they were. A smile appears on my face. Fu *K them, who cares? For the time, I am definitely not going to that place. I have more important things to do now. I need to crush a rebellion, kill a couple of people and maim some others. As I plan those things, I just walk towards the shores of Seabody Archipelago. My journey is nowhere near close to over. A couple of days later and I have Doflamingo's head, Gecko Moria's, and even Kuma's. Jinbi is killed too and made an example of so others don't do the same mistake. Currently, I am on my throne as I look at the old man in front of me. He is wearing a lab coat, rubber gloves, and has a white mustache. He looks at me with an absolutely calm look on his face. I must say, for a man who took on the world, your throne isn't quite as big or as majestic as it could be. I smile at that. I can guess that he is trying to make a joke. So I just smile politely, a *TTY joke, but the man in front of me is one I will never kill. Dr. Vegapunk, the smartest man on One Piece. I have him here now, and he will be my ticket to the future. I could see it. Yami, Jax and that other guy, they were alone. In this world, I doubt I would be able to reach their physical strength, but it doesn't matter. I can make up the difference with numbers. They have one, I have 1,000. Sigh. You seem nervous about something. Says Vegapunk in front of me. I look at him and can sense the curiosity in him. Nothing, I just wonder how fast you can develop things. People say that you are hundreds of years ahead in technology compared to the other scientists. I tell him, it's a fact that he is good, but let's see how good he really is. I take out a book and throw it at his feet. Try and figure out how to build me everything in there for me. Vegapunk is confused at first, but he opens the book and his eyes immediately widen. He sees a plane and its designs. Next page are things like tanks, automatic weapons, and chemical weapons. Everything, from transportation to weapons, was in the book, everything that I could remember from my first life. This is amazing. Make them a reality for me. I say to him casually. He is a smart man, he knows better than to try and resist me. He is a man who worked for the world government, he knows when to listen to someone and not complain. General POV. It doesn't take long for Jaw to get a working ship that can take him to the moon. It isn't hard, it is relatively easy actually. As the moon in this world was different from his previous one can even breathe up there. Once he arrived there, he just found some old ancient cities and small automata robots. Kakashi uses his lightning fruit to charge them up, and Jaw learns that on the moon lived the people with the wings. They were the ancestors of the Skypeans. Their resources ran out, so they had to come down to Earth, though it didn't go as successfully as they expected. Some landed on Earth and some on Sky Islands. As he is there, he meets some space pirates who come to get some treasure from the moon. But he kills them and gets some of their memories and looks through them. Well, now this is quite amazing. Mining is their main source of income. There are whole space pirate armadas too, and they concentrate mostly on mining. There doesn't seem to be any strong person from the Blue Sea Pirates' perspective. Explains Jaw. But their technology level is relatively higher. We should go and introduce ourselves. Later on, Jaw is in his flying ships as he looks at the infinite space. One day, I will go there and show them. His eyes shine red as he says that, and a shark-like smile appears on his face. He looks at the people around him and smiles. Planet mining doesn't sound like a bad way to get resources. Jaw doesn't mind not reaching the citadel. He looks around him and looks at his treasure, his children. He is truly happy now. It doesn't matter what happens later on, he has lived a nice life. Dad, you okay? Calls out Makoto as she looks at her father sleeping on the floor of the ship. Makoto, says Jaw. I truly love you all. Makoto smiles as she hears that. We know, Dad. Anyway, Kakashi and Kisame are fighting again. We should go and stop it. Nagato and Madara also joined in the brawl. Heh. Jaw smiles. Those idiots. Makoto can see that her father doesn't seem angry like usual. He seems more relaxed. Is everything okay, Dad? Yeah, says Jaw. I just understood something. And what is that? Happiness. It doesn't matter how strong I am in the future. As long as I'm happy, I am okay with it, says Jaw calmly. Jaw pushed the development of the world towards entertainment, so he wouldn't feel bored through eternity. And so his adventure continued. It had its own ups and downs, but Jaw never reached the citadel. He never even tried to. He had found his happiness now. The end. That's the end of this tale. Thank you for watching until the end of the series. Make sure to check out my stories on the channel. Peace.